Oh.
Welcome
Great.
to Yachad's Kitchen. Thank you very much for joining today. You can see we're going to be using some doTERRA oils. I have quite a spread going on here, and I welcome you to be on audio if you want to ask questions or ask me to repeat something. If you think you're going to have some noise in the background, it is a Zoom call, so please go ahead and mute yourself now, if you will. I don't want to mute everybody in case you do have questions. And if you mute yourself, that would be great. If you need to know how to do that, it should be in the lower left corner of your screen. Okay, a few thank yous I want to put out there to Nechama Tovi for her introducing me to doTERRA, and to my mother for her own great kitchen and the things I learned, and the combination of putting them together is quite amazing. I want to thank my father. His yortzeit is coming up this week, so this should be an Aliyah Neshama for him, Ilu Neshama for Shmuel Lazer ben Michael, and we'll have another class on Wednesday next week, which is his actual yortzeit. I don't know if I got this from my father, but I have been known to say, you know, in fancy restaurants, on 5-star cruises, go out to dinner, and I say sometimes you just have to start the meal with dessert. My father loved chocolate. I love chocolate. I'm a big advocate of chocolate, so we're actually going to start today with an amazing dessert that I made up. And there's a chocolate version and there's a no chocolate version. And I figured out how to get a really consistent creamy texture from nut butter and have it kind of come out like a mousse. And it's an amazing dessert, but because it's healthy, this is what I love about all the stuff that I'm cooking and preparing, which a lot of it actually is not cooked. I like to do raw as much as possible. Let me back up a little, you see. So the things we're going to be doing today, we're going to have dessert, which is going to be a nut butter coconut, and I'll explain to you why there's 3 different coconuts here, and then I can get some of them out of the way. I just want to show you there's coconut cream and coconut liquid, which is also in some places called coconut milk. Really the difference is how thick it is. So the coconut liquid, one of the easiest ways to check it is 170 versus 190 calories, which tells you there's more fat in the coconut cream. And there's also a higher percentage of the actual coconut in it. So this is 100% coconut and this is 70% coconut. Okay, the reason I have a few out here is just so when you go to the store, you're not looking for, oh, you know, they don't have the one they call this or the green. The price on this is from the health food store, so it's a little bit more. That's 9.5 shekels. But then I got the coconut cream, which is more concentrated. You can water it down, by the way. Am I speaking too fast? Yes, no? I'm going pretty fast here. Okay, okay. So this one was $8.90. Now, if it's more condensed, you can add your own water to it. It comes with, it's a little bit watery, the coconut cream. So I just always suggest economically getting the coconut cream. But again, you know, this brand, if all you can find is the coconut liquid, it's also called coconut milk, then you're fine. Here's one in a can. Just want to show you. It does also, you know, come in a can. Whatever you can find, that's perfect. That's what we're going to use. Now the nut butters, I'm using. Let me tell you how this recipe actually created itself in my kitchen. Is I got these 2 different nut butters, and I go a little closer here for you. Okay, they're in Hebrew. So for those of you who are out in America or in other countries, I think I've got some invitations out to South Africa and California. But this one has coconut in it and this one doesn't. And at one point I only had this one and I thought, but I want coconut in it. So I decided to coconut it. Just one moment, please. So I opened my cupboard and I got some of this coconut and I just decided to go with that. And I was very, very happy with how it worked, and that's why we're doing that today. So I use the coconut cream for this type of a recipe, and I'll pull some other things out of the way so we don't have too much distraction going on right now. And if you can please pause with me for that, for a reason that the dessert, although I like to start needed first, there is a little bit of prep time needed for something that we're going to be making our other dish today, which is a seaweed and mushroom salad with pine nuts and doTERRA essential oils. You can see we've got some oils lined up here and some oils here choices for this dish. I just want to do a little bit of an aside, or the second part first, so that some of the prep can happen, okay? Because they need to soak. So we're going to be using wakame. That's the seaweed I use. Okay, that's available at the health food store. And I just take some wakame and I put it in a bowl. Okay. This is a 1 portion size that we're going to do, but I'm also going to say I use a lot of glass jars. So if you were to want to constitute enough for the week or enough for a few days, you put it in a jar and then the water. I'm going to give you a technique though. Why to not just fill it up with water as I would normally do or did in the old days, or some people who aren't so familiar with the doTERRA oils might do. I have experienced that if I fill it with water and then put some oils on top, they sit on the top and they actually don't mix in properly. Is this making sense for those of you who understand the oils float? So I'll give you an analogy. I took a nice bath last night, had some rose petals in it, and I wanted lavender oil in there. So I put a small squirt of the doTERRA on my hand, the doTERRA soap on my hand as an emulsifier, and then I took a few drops of the lavender and put it on my hand, and I just put that straight into the bath water, and that allowed it to disperse. So in a similar way, the rosemary, or the whichever oil we're going to use, the oil that we're going to put in here, and I'm going to discuss with you which ones and why, the oil that we're going to put in here is going to go with a very small bit of water. Okay, mix it up and let that oil and the essential oil in the water mix up just a little bit, and then put more water in for the whole thing to reconstitute. Okay, so I like to reference different books when we're using essential oils. Sometimes I'll just smell and I'll say, oh, you know, am I in the mood for that in my salad? No, I'm not in a fennel mood for my salad. Am I in a cilantro mood? Yeah, cilantro. Cilantro really seems to feel right now. So then I want to say, okay, so what is in cilantro as a healing property? And then I'll look it up in the book, and I want to read that so that we can know what benefits we have. So if I'm going to use cilantro, one of the common properties here listed in the book, common property uses cilantro, is anxiety. So, like, great, who doesn't have a little bit of that these days? You know, life is unsure, what's going on? We're living in a new age. We're living in a wonderful new age. I want to just put a positive spin on all that and say, you know, we've got some amazing times here. People are reevaluating, they're letting go of a lot. You know, you can't run to the store and get everything you need. You know, you look at what's essential. So Baruch Hashem, you know, I lead a God-led life, and whoever is watching this, I invite you to just meditate on what do those words mean? What did she mean by that? What's a God-led life? You know, wake up in the morning and say, you know, Lord, how can I serve you? What do you want from me today? And doTERRA is a big part of that for me. I'm healing, helping people heal. So when I'm choosing my own oils and I'm adding doTERRA to my kitchen for my own internal health, it's mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. And now we're just dealing on the physical level with the oils. When I'm choosing an oil, I will want to know, well, what might it do for me today? And I don't have them all memorized, and I don't know that all of you have them all memorized. We don't need to. That's the amazing thing about the resources. Now, on another level, as I just mentioned, the different levels of using the essential oils, is also the emotional level. So we have the emotions and the essential oils. So a couple of the oils that I like to use in my salads, cardamom and marjoram, okay, and coriander. So we could just read, you know, you can read. I'm not going to take the time. This is not a lesson right now in the properties of essential oils, but all this is available. There's apps for this and many books. I have a couple of other books here. This is a very new book that came out that's wonderful. And here we can see like, the benefits of coriander. It's antibacterial and antifungal properties, and it provides sedative and calming effects. Well, gosh, I think I'll use that today. So coriander and cilantro are like anti-anxiety and calming. Well, I think I'm going to go with coriander and cilantro in this salad right now. So I'm going to put a drop of each one, a drop of coriander, a drop of cilantro. Let's set those out of the way. And I'm going to give that a little bit of water and a very, very, very good mix. Okay, and then I'm going to set it aside. You might not be able to see, but I have a water filter here. And then I'm going to set that aside with about the amount of water from my experience that I need to reconstitute it for one serving. Okay, and then we are also going to work with dried shiitake mushrooms. Okay, you can see them here, the dried shiitake mushrooms we'll be using. So just take a couple of those. Again, I'm talking about one serving, but you know, you could certainly do more. Take a couple of those, put those in a cup, fill it with water, and those will reconstitute. Okay, I'm going to set this aside, but if you wanted to be doing more seaweed, you would take the drop of the oil you want, one drop, in dry, mix it all up, add some purified water, add a little tiny bit, shake it up again so it gets really, really well mixed. Let a little bit of water saturate the whole thing, and then fill it up with water for the seaweed to reconstitute. And you can see this is beginning to soak up that water. Okay, so we did that so we can set these aside for right now. And we can now go back to working with our dessert, to begin the meal with dessert. So I have here a little bit of coconut cream, and I'm purposely doing this actually just to show you, kind of working backwards at the same time. I want to show you something, which is how to store it. Okay, when you open this, the coconut cream, shake it up, and make a very small cut in it, and then make sure it's very well shaked down to the bottom, and squeeze some out, okay? But if you are using the can, then you want to take it out of the can always, put it into I like to use these lockdown containers, and I want to show you what came out of, hello and welcome. What came out of that jar was actually quite a bit of liquid. So I separated the solid and the liquid to decide how much I want to liquefy it. So I'm going to take, and you could do the same thing. You could get the same squeeze of the coconut out of here. So I'm putting it in here. And I'm using the one that doesn't have the coconut. So it may take a minute. There we go. Can you see it? Let me get this out of your way. Can you see that nice, luscious, creamy, creamy? Kind of looks like a chocolate spread, right? So again, the chocolate is optional. If you want to use a chocolate spread, that's kind of the easiest way to do. This is vegan. This one has a flavor with hazelnuts. And I have coconut powder, cacao powder right up here. Let me get you a view. You see, I have cacao powder here, and I could, if I wanted to, use cacao powder I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just trying to give you some options. Now, options. Okay, let's talk healing and let's talk just flavor. Simple flavors, everybody, would know. Peppermint and lemon. Very nice if you want to make a dessert. And it can be a middle of the day dessert. It doesn't have to be an after dinner dessert. I'm a big advocate on enjoying your day with your foods. Now, bergamot is actually known to lower cholesterol. Again, we could take one of our books, or you could look it up on the app. You could see the benefits of bergamot, and it has cholesterol lowering effects. So if you want to give this to yourself or someone who could need it, you could add bergamot. What I'm going to use today is 1 drop of lemon, which is a little bit strong. Now, lemon comes out very quickly. So make sure as you start to see that drop form, you're already knocking it back. See, I got 2. It's a tricky one. I don't mind. I'm used to the flavors. Peppermint, again, very strong. Out it comes. Tip it back. You've got to stay aware on that. Now we're going to start smearing and creaming. If you can see this, and it's actually very, very pretty. Okay, it's fairly simple. Now, one of the reasons I'm working in this jar, sorry, not a jar, working in this container is because then whatever I don't eat by the spoon or in the moment, I just put a snap down lid on it and it goes straight into the refrigerator like this. But I am going to show you how I serve this. Now, this is out of this world delicious. Here is how I serve it. Again, this just happens spontaneously, and the reason I share with you that it happens spontaneously is because I want you all to just become spontaneous in your kitchen with your doTERRA or your oils, in your exploration. Do whatever feels natural. Do whatever feels right. So, by a show of hands, how many of you ate peanut butter on celery sticks when you were a kid? Right? Peanut butter on celery sticks. Okay. Well, this is the 2020 version for your health to give your kids, if you have them, your grandkids, yourself, of peanut butter on celery sticks. But we know peanuts are unhealthy. And this is cashews and hazelnuts, high in protein, lots of great nutrients. So you can just layer this in there. Can you see that? You can just layer this in there. Now, I'd love to take a bite, but it'll interrupt my ability to speak. So, okay, that came out a little sloppy. Sorry. If I were doing it for dessert or for guests, oh wait, we don't do guests these days. Sorry. When we have guests back at our home for Shabbat. Yeah. So then another thing that I created, this is just, I just think this is so adorable. I have this clean piece of lettuce. Okay, what does it look like? It's a boat. Okay, so we take the yum, and I'm telling you, it's like a mousse. It is like a mousse. And there we have a nut butter boat. Now, the essential oils of lemon and peppermint have a lot of healing properties, cleansing properties, cooling properties, antibacterial properties. So you've got a virtual health feast here, however you want to serve it, with dessert. All right. I promise I'll eat that as soon as the call ends, or maybe we can stay on and answer some questions and you can see me enjoy it. You'll watch my eyes. They're just going to light up like, wow. Called a foodgasm. When you go crazy on what you just cooked or what you're eating, out of this world. All right, let me set some of these things aside and let's move back to where we are with our seaweed. Okay, how's our seaweed coming along? Okay, seaweed's coming along. Here we go. Let me just take a commercial break. selfcareuyou.org is my website. And they've got lots of cooking recipes there, some with doTERRA and some without. Okay, rosemary is a key ingredient of this recipe. And there's some olive oil here. going to take, please God, 1 drop. Careful, pay attention. Let it come out, knock it back. Oh. And olive oil. Now here, I'm gonna base some of the mushrooms. I told you this was a mushroom recipe. And
what was the drop that you just put in? Johan, what was the drop?
Rosemary, because rosemary has a lot of
okay.
healing properties. Rosemary is antiviral. So rosemary right now is a great thing to be getting into our bodies. And I've got the olive oil and the rosemary, mix it together. Now, the order is a little bit important because I've got some chopped mushrooms here. These are baby portobellas, organic from the health food store. And if I try to put the oil and then 1 drop of any, whether I want to use marjoram or oregano or basil or anything, on top, I found that doesn't work very well. Let me just adjust the camera and speak to you. We need to give a lot of thinking when we're adding essential oils to how they absorb or how they don't absorb. So when we dealt with the seaweed, particularly, we want to make sure that it really does absorb. Also, we want to make sure that it's evenly dispersed. So I put it into the olive oil, and then I put the cut mushrooms into the dish of oil and essential oil that's just pure. Here, we just have pure organic olive oil here. You can use whatever you want. You can add sesame oil if you like, which I have. You can use avocado oil if you like. You can add some sesame oil for flavor if you'd like. You probably heard an oil go to the floor behind me, and I'm glad that it did because it's set up back there if I have time as a reminder message. Okay, so the mushrooms are ready, of the fresh mushrooms. The mushrooms here are, I washed my hands, are reconstituted from the dried mushrooms, okay? I cut up the dried mushrooms after they were reconstituted, okay? So they're soft. They're going in, there we go. Now I'm going to pull out the seaweed.
Put the camera down so that we can see.
What's that?
Put the camera down. Put the camera down so we can see what you're doing. Okay, great.
Okay. So I added the reconstituted I cut them up so I have the little pieces. Now in here we have 2 kinds of mushrooms. One that is saturating with the oil, and you can see the oil has disappeared. You see, you remember all that oil, all that olive oil? Well, it has soaked right in and evenly dispersed the rosemary throughout all the mushrooms. Okay, we put a different flavor of oil in here. We chose cilantro because we read that the properties of the anti-anxiety. Okay, so now I'm going to take the seaweed and I'm going to add it together in with the mushrooms. Okay, this is lunch. And the addition of some pine nuts. I'm getting hungry. Okay, pine nuts. Now, I will put in a little bit of avocado oil and some apple cider vinegar. I like to use raw apple cider vinegar in many, many, many things that I eat. I'll put in a little sesame for flavor. And I like to eat with chopsticks. I suggest that we do eat with chopsticks.
Yeah.
Okay. Says we are running out of time, but I think we're almost done. So we have that. Chopsticks just slow us down, make us more aware of our food. So there you see, we've got the done. We've got the pine nuts, the oil in there is the dressing, and that's ready to go. The only other thing I might suggest, if you want, I have some ground chia seeds here. Okay, I just grind those myself with a coffee grinder, and that can be a nice addition. you want the protein and the benefits of the chia. I think we are ready to wrap it up. If that's all the time that we have, I'll just say a few more words. I have lots of more recipes if we had more time, and if you wanted to continue, again, you can go to selfcareu.org, and you can click on the doTERRA links. You can click on the yoga links. That's for women. Please join me for free yoga. And we have a couple of other options. Actually, I just turned back to my kitchen and saw I have cashews and pecans here, and I soaked pecans and cashews. So if for some reason you can't get pine nuts, one of the nice things about pine nuts, they don't need to be soaked. Cashews and pecans, I do like to soak them because they release some enzymes that can be bound up in the nuts. So all of that. And next time we'll do some other stuff that I have lined up here. Next time or another time, raisins, dried pineapple, dried coconut with coconut water to reconstitute. And that is an on-guard blessing, okay? Reconstitute the dried fruit, put some on-guard in it, out of this world. Chia pudding, okay? So if we don't use the chia for this salad, the chia was out here. If we have time for chia pudding, we'll get to that another day. Let me just tell you some ideas if you want to think about adding your doTERRA essential oils to anything. If you're making an instant soup, if you're heating up some soup, put some turmeric in it. And when you use turmeric, it's a good idea to also use it with black pepper. I think I've been told like double the amount of black pepper to turmeric. So just be creative. Think about things you can do in your kitchen until we meet again. And I think we have maybe a few more minutes if people want to ask questions. Oh, I'm going to do as I promised. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri adama. I'm just eating a little bit without the nut butter first so I can say the adama. That just tastes like lettuce. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'varo. I got the peppermint, subtle on the lemon. Nice, it's moussey, it's creamy. I don't eat chocolate at night, by the way. That's one of the reasons I didn't add the chocolate. But if you like it and if you want it, or you can just eat the chocolate by the spoonful. That's also great and available. So let me open it up to you all out there while I'm chomping. Tell me something
your card against that we can have.
Something that you would like me to clarify. I can clarify how I choose what I'm making in each recipe. Again, which is there's no wrong way to do this. That's something I really want to emphasize as I said a few times. I just make this up as I go along. You know, I'm just exploring. I'm just feeling like, oh yeah, you know, I'm gonna make some sweet potatoes. Oh, I think I'll add some basil. It's a very spontaneous thing for me. So if there's anything really that you get out of this first Zoom pop, please let me invite you, give you permission, explore, make mistakes, put too many drops in. I have a little technique for that. You can put a drop on a spoon or in a cup. Take a drop, put it on the spoon, and then the toothpick can then put it into the recipe because some things are very, very strong. Okay. If nobody has questions, I've got a couple of other very quick and simple things I can line up. Yes.
I have a question. I have a question. First of all, thank you very much. I love your התלהבות. זה ממש ככה מכניס לי גם כן זה. When you use turmeric, you do not use it's in place of using the powdered or the from the root, the ground flour that or powder that you buy in the supermarket or by somebody who crushes up the root. I mean, If you use turmeric,
so the
you
turmeric,
don't
the
buy
turmeric oil, the doTERRA turmeric oil, is definitely
turmeric or basil, so you don't need the actual. So
What's
you
that?
don't use the actual plant. You don't use the actual plant. You don't buy basil as a
So I actually,
spice, or you don't buy turmeric.
I don't anymore. Did I
You
freeze? Or
don't
can you see me?
buy them as.
No, I don't
You
anymore.
froze.
In fact, if I can use a recipe right now to answer that question, I want to share something with you of how a recipe came about. So here's cardamom and cinnamon. Okay, we have cardamom and cinnamon. Now, I was on a retreat. It was Rosh Chodesh Elul Shabbat. It was absolutely beautiful. Let me honor and thank my friend Rachel Rubin for leading me to this. She put on a beautiful retreat of it at Evan Sapir, out by Hadassah in Kerem area, Hadassah Hospital, out there. It was out in the mountains, and it was all natural, vegan, mostly organic, raw foods for Shabbat. And she made a chia pudding, and I'd never had a chia pudding. Now, I have some chia right here. And she made a chia pudding with coconut. I think she made it with a coconut liquid, coconut cream, one of these, probably the coconut liquid is what she used, but I modified it a little bit. And she put in powdered cardamom and powdered cinnamon, and it was absolutely delicious. And I said, you know, wow, that's insane. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I went home and I said, well, wait a second. You know, I can put in a drop of cardamom or two and a drop of cinnamon, which was absolutely out of this world delicious. And I really went pretty crazy on it. And then I went up to myself. And this is where, again, I invite you and ask you to give yourself permission to explore, make mistakes, you know, not like it, eat it anyway, it's healthy. Where is my On Guard? Okay. I made my chia pudding into this insane immune strengthening recipe. Okay, so I did two cardamom. I'm going to put in 2 or 3 doTERRA drops of On Guard. Why 2 or 3? Because I know I'm not going to eat this all at once. So if this is a half and half for me, then we're fine. So I'm going to
take a nap after that, okay? I got a little headache on the side.
It has a flavoring in it of a little bit of pineapple.
No, I'm not going to be up.
Okay, now this is not going to be as creamy as it could be. So I'm going to take a little bit of this coconut cream, okay, which I have here from before. You remember? This coconut cream. So I can just add that in here. Mash it around.
You want to share? No.
Okay, you can do this in a
Somebody needs to put their.
Is somebody talking? It's really disturbing.
If people could mute themselves, that would be great.
You have a time when you want me to wake you up? 1 an
Hold on
hour?
a second. I think I can mute everybody.
Wake up.
What was your video?
It's still on. It's still going on. Okay.
Okay, I think everybody's muted now. So this is going to reconstitute itself. It's going to become very, very creamy. That's a chia pudding. So to answer your question in the long way, in the yachad way, you know, they use an expression, finding your voice. Like starting something like this. I want to honor the people who've gone before me, the teachers, the classroom teachers who've had to learn to use Zoom. Teachers don't need to find their voice. Some of us need to like, but that was the very long answer. And I happen to have this stuff right here set up. It was almost like a setup. Edith, did we plan that? But I would not use powdered cinnamon or powdered cardamom anymore, as my friend Rachel Rubin did on a retreat out in the mountains, and we were being all natural. And I went, well, wait a second, let me jump that forward to the next century, you know, the new way. And the properties, the intensity of using the essential oils makes the healing so much more powerful. Now, if we wanted to know the healing benefits of cardamom, I would go and I would look them up. I think some of us have already done that and looked it up, and we know a cinnamon bark. Okay, so cinnamon is one of the things that could be used. I upped it 1 and I used the On Guard to really make it an immune boost. And you can read about the benefits of cinnamon. It helps decrease inflammation. It contains antiviral properties. It fights free radicals, may help relieve depression. I'm down. Who doesn't need all that today? So throw it in your food, bring it into your kitchen, you know, have a blast with it. You may be able to see this is getting kind of soupier and thicker. So that's a dessert. That's an absolutely delicious dessert. When you really want to make it desserty, hold on. I will show you another one of my tricks. Ah, there we go. So this can be great, by the way, depending who's eating it. We have an opportunity that's pure maple syrup. So when I want it more desserty, sweetie, pure maple syrup. And also I often put maple syrup, that's probably like a tablespoon. I don't measure, I create. Yachad's creations. So we're going to mix that around, let it sit, keep on mixing it so the chia doesn't clump. And now we can mix around. Let me put this down here a little bit. Clear out the kitchen. Here, let's in fact take some of this. Now I can tell you this is going to be a completely different, I don't want to call it an animal, completely different flavor, taste with the sweetness. Let's try that. Much sweeter. Definitely the kids would like it better. And remember, you're giving healing to the family. The properties of all the essential oils are in our books. They're in our phone apps. I do like to look at the emotional essential oils. And I'm going to unmute everybody and see if we have any other questions.
I am so sorry that my phone kept dying, so I caught some of it, and I didn't catch all of it, but what I did catch, I absolutely loved. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. So the goal is to get the, good to see you, hi. The goal is to get, we want to get this, it is being recorded. I have a little button up here in the corner and it says recording. Yael and Shayna, who are in my downline, are working with me on this project to make sure, please God, that these do get to my YouTube channel, which I believe is right now Self-Care You.
Wait a minute.
On
Wait a minute. Self-Care You or Self-Care You.
And somebody had suggested that I take a screenshot of that and send it to the group later, which I can do. And
yes,
this will need to be uploaded to YouTube, and we will, please God, continue and do more. Next Wednesday is my father's yort site. So for some of you who didn't join until later, that's my father of blessed memory, Shmuel Lazer ben Michael. 4 years ago, he passed away with Parkinson's. I took that picture of my father at the hotel. I don't know if some of you would recognize the floor and the chairs. That was for my son's bar mitzvah. My son is going to be 23 the Shabbos on the English calendar, and we lost my father 4 years ago. So this is an Aliyah Neshama from my father, Shmuel Lazer ben Michael, blessed memory, for all of his guidance. My father is my best friend. He was my English tutor, my sports coach, and my editor, and my mother and her kitchen. I thank them, bless them. My mother's alive and well in California, bored stiff, but she's got a nice home and a nice garden. So all of you who are at home, trying to readjust to what's next, remember, we're here leading a God-led life. Hashem is bringing us forward. God is bringing us into what is next. We don't want to go back. He's got our back. Move forward, look for the good, take out the gems, It's not going back to this or back to that. The kids aren't going back to school. We don't want to go back into the Beit Midrash, Beit Knesset, go back to our old routine. We want to create new routines. We want to get higher, more elevated, more aware, more conscious, bring in the light, bring in the good, dispel the darkness with the light. I share with you, I ask you, please stay positive. If you need anti-anxiety oils or a lot of antivirals just to feel protected, you can use the On Guard product line, the soaps and the essential oils, the shampoo. I think I have down here the household cleanser down in my cupboard. You know, keep yourself safe. Great, someone else showed they have it too. Keep yourself safe, keep yourself well, keep yourself full of joy, happiness, positivity. The cup isn't half empty or half full. It's way more than half full. We're taking it over the top. Hashem is delivering us into whole new places, whole new ways. Take you to Terra with you, revamp your kitchen, get these oils into you, serve your family with health and joy. And anything else, I will be happy to answer right now.
Very, very excited. Thank you so much. And
oh, my pleasure. I will post to the group when this is available and uploaded, which I haven't learned how to do that yet. It's all a big learning curve, and I'm grateful to have come to this place. Oh, let me just share one quick thing with you. This star, if you can see, this Mogen David, has some strange letters in it. It's my father's name. He was Shmuel Laser, but he went by Seth. So over here is an S, on top is an E, there's a T on the bottom, and over on this side, I'm sorry, the T is on the side and the bottom is an H. So I wear this always in my father's memory. He made it. This one has his name when I was a child. He made one with my English initials. I had a J on one side, an L on another side, an H in the middle, and it made a Star of David. So thank you to my parents for everything they are. Thank you, thank you all to you for everything that you are and giving me this opportunity. We'll meet again, please God, on Wednesday. Feel free to email me or text me or send me a WhatsApp if you have any questions. Signing off. Blessings to all of you.
Bye. Thank you, Yochai. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It's so inspiring.
Let me figure out how to end this. I'm not
Bye-bye.
sure how to end this.